folks that we work with. So I am going to show somewhere between 60 and 70 different conversation pieces today. It's a quick, we'll move very quickly. And if you want some information at the end, we do have a tool that you can download. Let's just jump right in because that's the fastest way for you to get the fastest value we can deliver. So here we go. Welcome to this. Let's not share. Let's do slideshow. Click the right button, Josh. Here we go. Welcome to a conversation that we are calling The Hats You Can't Take Off. What we are going to cover is a brief demo about what CBC's blueprint does and how you can do it yourself. You do not need us to do this. But if you want to, we're happy to do it for you. And I'll show you why we are getting such fast traction and feedback from so many of our members right now. So we're going to talk about who is CBC. We are going to show you the #1 request that we are getting from owners right now with the trades, manufacturing, small business space that we work with. I will show you the fastest way we are able to contribute to them and how you can do that yourself. Then we will go through 2 conversations that have actually come from our CEO peer groups. And we will close with a brief conversation around why we're doing all this. And don't worry, there's a fun little roadmap where I have told myself where to go to for different parts of this conversation. It'd be boring if I kept it all in one. So this is our way of jumping around between a bunch of different platforms. So now we are in Canva. CBC is a CEO peer group that has been around since the mid-90s. It was focused on the trades and manufacturing all back to the point when we didn't have YouTube, Audible, or business books back in the day. And so these CEOs would come together from 3-4 hours away to have a chance to beat each other up, challenge each other, and exchange ideas of what's working, what's not working. We've been doing this for a while now, and we are seeing some changes in the market. This guy, Dave Hagford, the founder of CBC, has been watching some of these changes over the last couple months. We're happy to share with what's been going on. The whole premise of our enterprise has been obsessed with the fact that most owners, most founders miss the fact that they try to be the one who has all the answers, and they try to hang on to every decision possible. Well, here is our assertion. It's that companies become more valuable the less and less it depends on them. And at that point, the business can be transferable. It could be sellable. It could be, I'm going to go focus on something else with my life because I know I've got a great team in place running it after that. So inside of that promise and that assertion, I'll show you what we've been doing. Why CBC exists is because of these business owner peer groups. And what we found over those 30 years is we worked with a bunch of different types of owners, some who were looking for referrals, some who just needed to externally process and talk about what was going on in their business, some who just liked hanging out with other business owners so they could complain about what's working, what's not working, taxes, employees, blah, blah, blah. Some really wanted to push their enterprises to the next level, to a point where it no longer needed them. And that is what CBC has built itself around. We do a we do a biannual assessment. We make our members go through annual and quarterly targets. We do hold those in place. Say hello if you're watching us live. Sorry, just seeing the comments. I am a little bit of a parakeet. I get distracted by shiny objects. And we actually hold our members to a point where we will remove them if they're not here. Don't worry, this is just the intro. Here's where we started seeing some insights over the last year or so. When we would start putting up an org chart, we kept watching owners of companies and leaders say, hey, can I take a photo of that? Hey, can I steal that? Will you send that to me? And what we have found is that most of these visionaries, the founders, the people who start the company, had the courage to begin, are missing this right hand. And that right hand is usually the person who's building the systems, the coordinating between the different departments and putting it all together. And that's what CBC has been focused on, is identifying what is missing, how do we solve for that, and how do we create the platform for some of these leaders in the different parts of the company to be able to stand up in their stead. So let's talk about what we're seeing from owners right now in our pipeline. We call this the wow factor. It's what owners want. Come on, it's funny. You can laugh at that. Here's what's showing up. Every single owner we talk to is like, we need more accountability around here. And we say, that's great. You probably do. And then we say that it probably indicates what someone is or isn't doing or should not be doing and what they always do or never do, right? Right. I need Johnny to go do this. Great. Did you tell Johnny that? Did you show Johnny that? Or are you managing by changing priority based on what you think is most important in that given moment? Johnny should be doing this. How come Johnny hasn't done that? How come Johnny hasn't done? Does Johnny have any sort of system or feedback or technology giving Johnny the feedback about what is going to help Johnny do that? 9 times out of 10, we would sit with owners who and founders who are like, oh, we haven't built a system for Johnny to be successful yet. And so instead, what we deal with is complaining about what Johnny is or isn't doing, or where someone is or isn't spending their time. And this becomes the foundation that we start this conversation. So let's talk about what we have learned over the last 90 days. And that is specifically about some of these owners that are wrestling with those challenges. They are used to when it was easy. It was easy because they saw a problem, they would do the work, and then they got paid. It was very easy back then. And as business got more and more complex, they started adding more hats to their system, and it just started getting more and more complex until at some point it starts looking like a big tangled mess, and someone's expecting you to have the answer for everything, and you're putting out fires everywhere, and you're getting pulled in every which way direction, and it ends up looking something like this. This is actually, oh yeah, there you go. There's an Easter egg for you. Forgot that misspelling. This is what a typical organization looks like, where the back office person is trying to wear all the hats of human resources, finance, and customer service. You've got poor Johnny is in productions. He's your project manager. He's trying to help out on the sales process. He's trying to order materials. He's trying to get everything else cleaned up. And then you want him to approve payroll. You've got an owner who's handed off some of the hats, and that's what he likes to do. And then this other general manager has gotten into place, and now it's just kind of looks like this. And so, what we have found is by going into organizations and showing them and mapping out this process of how they go from the marketing, the sales, the business development to getting a contract in place, to getting that work scheduled and moving that through the organization so that it is finally invoice collected and we take care of the admin on the backside. By mapping this process out, we've actually found it's contributed to organizations in a huge way. So, that's what we've built our whole business around right now and what we're doing for clients. When it's a 2-person organization, here's an example. The green person quit. That person was wearing these different hats, and they were really concerned about the pink person sliding into doing now all of the things the green person was doing. This was really helpful for them to say, hey, we don't want to just slide back into that. We actually need to hold the green where it is, and we need to be focusing on what is going on from business development from the pink, and the pink person needed to be doing that. When we're working for a manufacturing organization, this is Johnny. And what happened is Johnny's getting pulled in way too many directions. He's all the way here at the end of the sales process and managing all the back end HR, as well as he's the bottleneck for ordering materials, getting production scheduled, managed, et cetera, et cetera. When we worked with a multi-site franchise, one of the things that happened is the owner got himself out of everything, and then now his general manager became the one wearing all the hats. Look at all the different blue spots for that person. Construction company was dealing with a back end. The back end person was overwhelmed and burning out. When we did it for the printing company, they were wrestling with, do we hire a back office admin? Do we hire someone in operations? Do we hire someone as a general manager to get the owner out of these seats? What happened with this team was when they posted for this position, this person in red actually said, hey, I could do that job. I would need some help pulling some of these things off of my plate, but I could actually do this. I can run this, and you don't need to hire somebody at $60,000, $70,000 a year. So tell you what, I'm willing to take this role on. Help me get some of these other things off my plate. Happens frequently when we go through this process. So the question becomes are you or is your team wearing too many hats and getting spread really thin and having a tough time figuring out what to do? So here is our gift to you for being on this conversation today. You are going to get access to this. It is a DIY version of this. Our recommendation is that you do this for your organization. I even gave you some instructions here. You're going to print it off. Use your own sticky notes to do this yourself if you want to. Don't worry about titles. You can go read through this and see how it's going to work. I'm going to show you our version of this so that when you are going through it with your company, the reason why we give this to you is we give it as a starting place. So that when you're looking at who's out doing the networking, who's building relationships or prospecting for new connections or referral partners, who's wearing all the marketing hats. Marketing is actually the reason why we started this process, because we kept watching so many marketing agencies and firms say, hey, we want your business and we'll charge you a retainer. Well, that's great. Let's see. Hi, Tom Klein. Good to see you, bud. One of the things that popped up out of this was saying, well, but who's wearing all those hats? You might be really good at getting social media out there. You might help me with my website, but let's actually talk about what's going on with marketing content. Who's helping me with the strategy of this? When we look at marketing content, here's what this looks like. Well, who's going to go do the actual video capture? Who's going to do the editing? Who's going to be doing the graphic design? Who's doing the copywriting, the blog writing? Who's giving the final approval on this? And who's now getting it posted and deployed into the social media or into the website? Well, let's actually go look at who's managing our social media. Is that person working on the 3 different platforms? Are they doing engagement? Are they tracking people? Are they responding to comments? Are they actively posting? Are they going out and trying to connect with your ideal customer? Those are good questions. When we get into the sales team, who's doing the actual conversation? This is usually a sales rep. Who's managing the CRM? Do we have a CRM? Who's our expert internally helping us with this? Who's doing our contract preparation and documentation? Is each one of our sales reps expected to do all this too? Who's accountable for the performance of the sales team? Usually, often, it is a founder or an owner. When we get into engineering and consulting, when we get into the back office of customer service, who's taking those phone calls? Who wears the IT hat? When we get into operations, who's doing the project management, the permitting, the production, the scheduling? This hat is often abused very hard with a lot of the companies. It's difficult to do that role. Who's helping do the work? That is the labor team usually. Who's wearing the finance hat? Who's doing the accounts payable, the accounts receivable, the bookkeeping? Who's getting the legal done? And the HR side, who's getting all this done for you? Who's managing all this? Often we find it's the same person, and we go through this multiple times a week right now with organizations that are looking at this. The way you get access to this, yes, I think I got to show you the website, and then we'll go back to this one. The way you get access to this is the website we're going to send you, creativebusinesscouncil.com/blueprint. If you scroll to the bottom, it is going to show you a version of this. We have a walkthrough of why we do this, what it kind of looks like. We go through an internal intake. You don't have to talk to us. You spend about an hour working with a technology that we have built, and then we do a customization on the backside of it. Yes, we will do this for your company for $2,000. Total investment is 2 hours, but download it yourself. Go get it yourself. Truly, get this to your company. Start working with it. Get it to your client. Get it to someone who can wrestle with it. And when they say, "Hey, this is really hard. This is complicated. We could use some help with this," I hope you'll think of CBC. Now, let's go back to where we go from here. So now I get to show you who's in charge. This is a conversation that has come up frequently within our rooms, and it's now becoming very, very pressing here in the Twin Cities. So yes, we did the DIY tool and I showed you the website. Now we're going to continue with who's in charge. This is a conversation that has come up quite a bit recently. So here's our assertion. When we show org charts, people got really excited, and we've built this whole blueprint in order to have these conversations. But the thing is when we ask who's in charge, it's actually, it's a trap. Because most people think, oh, my salesperson, my sales leader, my head of operations, my back office person, it's me, I'm in charge. And what we are finding is that a lot of organizations really struggle to answer this question. And so we start walking them through this conversation. We say it's actually not somebody in your organization at all. It's not your employees. It's also not your vendors, your suppliers. They're not necessarily in charge. They might influence it. They might make it hard for your company. It's not necessarily your competition. They have different strategies for how they're trying to go to market and how they're trying to deal with the situation. It's not those big tech companies. They're not in charge. They're platforms. They've just done a really good job getting to money before it gets to you and getting attention. It is not the state of Minnesota. It's not Minnesota paid leave. Sorry, as much as we want to beat on them, they're not helping a whole lot, but they're not the be all end all. And frankly, it's not even ICE. Immigration has really made a big challenge with some of the blue collar, the trades, anyone who works in food service, anyone who works in hospitality. ICE is having an impact. It's not them either. It's the market. The market tells you whether they believe what you're doing. It really has 3 simple questions. Can you solve my problem? Can I trust you? And have you given me enough incentive to take action now? The market is in charge. And so, what we've done for a lot of our companies, we've started asking some questions. We ask them about what's going on in your market. Is the urgency of solving that problem heating, cooling? Is it stalled? Is there new competitors in your space? Are there new solutions, disruptive technology moving into your space? Are any of your competitors worth acquiring? Should you be trying to get acquired? These are all great things for your team to be considering on, especially when we're asking about your vision for what the future of your company looks like. Some of the things we ask of our founders is like, do they have the capacity to take on more business? Does the market know enough about what's going on for your solution to be a good point? Are you doing your job to get enough opportunities to present that offer? Are you getting your customers to say yes to it? Are you effective at that? Are you able to actually produce cash? Yes, profit. It's not all about money. It's just really important, right up there with oxygen. It only matters if you don't have any. And finally, do you have the right team helping you to answer some of these questions? So CBC is in the business of asking and starting to get founders thinking about this. Now, Josh, why are we doing this? Why are we going down this path of who's in charge? Why are we asking these questions? Which gets us to the final reason with why we've been doing this and what we're doing for companies right now. This neglected visionary. So get to switch platforms one more time. This is a conversation that we proposed to our CEOs recently. And what we have found on the facilitating side and working with clients and prospective members and folks that we're working with in the community is when they start taking photos of our slides and they start taking photos of our presentations, that's how we know we're onto something. So this came out of a conversation for what is your job as the visionary of the company, as the founder of the company? What questions are you supposed to be answering for your organization? And it was when we started down this path that this really exposed how many of these questions are neglected for so many founders, owners of companies, and leadership teams. And what we had found is that when it came to revenue, a lot of our organizations weren't thinking about their edge or their differentiator. They weren't thinking about their top of funnel, their awareness, their marketing, their sales channel of, are we able to keep our pipeline full? Are we able to keep our operation full? When it came to operations, it was a question of, are we actually in alignment with what we're promising the market, or are we selling something, or are those darn sales guys selling something and then we have to deliver something different and there's a gap there between those expectations? Are we actually clever enough to offer a service for a premium, or are we just a Me Too commodity that is trying to sell the same thing that 15 other people are doing? These are the easy ones. Is our service profitable? Oh, but I'm a nonprofit. That's fine. You still need to be viable with the funds you bring in. You still need to not spend all your cash and payroll and run out of business. Are you guys being good stewards of the cash and the profit that you generate? That's a tricky question that a lot of founders don't like being questioned about what's going on with their cash and their company. And finally, what CBC is really focused on is, do I have the right people in place helping me to answer these questions? Do I know where I'm trying to steward my company? Am I clear about what I'm trying to do for my organization next? And am I focused on the right areas of the business? These are the questions that we pounded our CEOs and founders with, and over, they have come back and said, huh, those are good questions. I haven't been thinking about that. So why? Why is it that they're not thinking about that? And our hypothesis and assertion has been, it's because they're too busy wearing all the rest of these other hats. This is why we have been focusing on helping organizations. And frankly, it's not just for the CEO founder, it's actually for the management team to be able to see how the work wound up being and who's wearing all those hats and how is that work distributed, so that they have a chance to actually be able to say, hey, you know what would it look like for me to take that off your plate? If those questions were helpful for you, don't worry, we gave you another Easter egg. We hid that in here. We've hidden those inside of the chief executive role. This is your visionary, your founder, whatever. We call this, these are the hats. These are the neglected visionary. That's the job description of the visionary that often is getting neglected because they're too busy playing around, working through, keeping the business running in all of these areas. Let's see, I think I have a little note in here. There we go, final slides. So these questions that I've given you, that I've shared with you, this is all hidden inside of that DIY tool. So when you go to Blueprint, the CBC Blueprint, you go to the very bottom, you can go download this yourself. Yes, we're going to send you an email. We're going to follow up with you. We're going to ask you how it goes, because it's freaking hard. And we figured out how to do this really cleverly. But I want you to go try it, and I want you to print it out and go for it. And we're going to follow up and ask you about how that's going. All those questions are sitting in there. And then I have this final thing for you. I think I have this right. Dang it, that's twice now I've clicked that thing. We'll get that in the editing on the outtake. CBC exists for this conversation. It exists because we are advocating for owners who are working their darndest to try and figure out how to make their companies viable and survive. And what CBC has been focused on is actually not just the CEO owner. That's not our client. Our client is the organization. And what is it going to take to advocate for the health, the vitality of that company? And that is why we have started sharing this more and more with the right hand, the integrator, the chief operating officer, the head of operations, the head of finance, the people who have the ability to contribute to narrowing the focus of the visionary and say, hey, this is the work that would actually make the most difference for us. And it's hard. It's so much easier to just drop right back down into the weeds and start turning wrenches and fixing things and digging holes and doing the bookkeeping and getting that email sent out. It's so easy to get lost in that and neglect what is it that our company needs next. So this was an invitation for more teams to be able to see, like, how do I advocate for our teams faster? This blueprint process has started making a huge difference for a bunch of our clients. And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to share that with you. If there is no further questions or opportunities, anything that comes through, this was our invitation for you. So thank you for being part of this conversation. Thank you for considering the hats that you can't take off, or perhaps it might be better said as the hats you won't take off. Thanks for being part of this. This is what CBC is about, and we are we're really enjoying being able to contribute to more companies by going through this process. So thank you very much. My name is Josh John. If you need access to any of these tools or information, please get in touch with our team, and we look forward to talking to you very, very soon.